First and foremost, women don't have respect for themselves because they trade respect for attention and validation. So they bankrupt in the respect department.
I think women use shaming tactics on men because, simply put, our ego can't handle their truth.
If they don't have respect for themselves, they definitely can't have respect for you as men regardless. Even if they had respect in the bank account, they still couldn't respect you as men. And the reason for that is because they don't understand what it takes for a man to actually be a man.
It's a lot of shit we misperceive, or we take it the wrong way because we don't know what it feel like to have a daddy that say, this is the decision as a man, and ain't no woman coming and put her 2 cents on it, right? Then you only seeing how a woman solves and processes and run the household. This your programming.
I know that most men have dark thoughts that cross their mind because that's how y'all wired. Now, whether you act on those or not, or fall victim to them, is a whole nother thing. And this is why the more you learn about men and their psychology, the more you can understand what it means to be a good man.
Right.
In case y'all haven't seen any of the videos of fathers being asked whether or not they would leave their daughter in the woods with a bear or man, here are a few. Enjoy.
I guess a bear.
Why?
I mean, I don't trust the man.
Right. That's fair.
I trust the bear more than the man.
Which would you choose?
A bear.
Why?
Because I ain't got to worry about the bear doing nothing to my daughter.
The views and opinions expressed in this video are my own and are not intended to be taken as facts or professional advice. I'm simply sharing my personal perspective on a topic that's being discussed on a public platform. Any resemblance to the truth, actual facts, or to reality is purely coincidental. Viewer discretion is advised. If you're a woman who's ever been afraid to go outside alone at night, what exactly were you afraid of? If you're a single woman who double locks her doors at night before going to bed, who are you protecting yourself from? If you answered a man, that would be the correct answer. And it's for that very same reason that women who were asked whether they felt safer with a bear over a man, she chose the bear every time. Hell, her own dad chose the bear for her safety. Even though deep down, women fear men, well, not the man entirely, but his powerful strength that we know he has and how it can overtake us. His rage that some of us have unfortunately witnessed up close. And the knowing that it is the biological man that women fear when it comes down to SA. Still, there are full-grown women out here degrading, demeaning, emasculating, and disrespecting men. Today we're going to have a real grown-up conversation. No filters, no sugarcoating, just truth with several layers of clarity. And no, this ain't a male or a female bashing session. We don't do that here. This conversation is about accountability. And specifically, a group of women who go out of their way to disrespect men. I'm talking about women who speak with sharp tongues, who are quick to emasculate, who weaponize words like weak, broke, sassy, or shrimp. And they don't do it in heated moments of conflict. They do it casually, boldly. And the sad part about it is that they're proud of it. Like it's a personality trait. Like disrespect is synonymous with empowerment. I want to get into why that happens, what it really says about them, and why it's not just problematic. It's also dangerous, especially if there's a loyal following behind them. If you haven't already hit the like button, please take a moment to do so and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. To everyone else, welcome back to Voice and Value. When a woman constantly puts down men, especially black men, that behavior usually didn't start when they became an adult. That mentality was baked in. You know, maybe she grew up in a household where men were absent or abusive. Maybe every time her mother or even her grandmother spoke about a man, it was with venom in their voice. there was no softness, no honor, no room for grace. And some women were raised on survival. They never had a father who showed them leadership through patience, or a grandfather who taught them that strength doesn't have to be loud. So when they got older, the only version of manhood they respected was the idea of dominance, not masculinity. Even studs take on the persona of what they perceive to be a young black thug. You rarely see them dressed or acting like a gentleman. They move and operate with a version of men that they feel are masculine or hard. When a man does show vulnerability or quiet confidence, or even if he asks for respect without raising his voice, a lot of women don't know what to do with that. So they attack it. They look at it as weak. They call him feminine. They laugh at him. But truth be told, it's projection. It's unhealed wounds from growing up without a positive male figure in their life and bad relationships that they endured as a result of it. Now let's talk about that TikTok debate. You've probably seen it. If you were lost in the woods and you had to choose between encountering a bear or a random man, which would you choose? Far too many women with a straight face chose the bear without hesitation. Let's pause right there. A bear, a wild, unpredictable animal with claws and brute force over a man? That alone says something. Not just about how unsafe women feel, but about how deep the mistrust and disdain for men has gotten. But the irony is that very same woman who claims to fear men so much, yet won't even go to the bathroom by herself when she's out, will get on social media and hurl the most degrading insults at men. She'll get on mic calling them little boys, calling them soft, a band, and yell, "Pull up!" Like she forgot these are the same men she swears are a threat to her safety. If you truly believe someone was dangerous, wouldn't you tread lightly instead? Wouldn't you speak with caution? But no, they don't fear men. They just don't respect them. And that's a very dangerous game to play. Here's something that needs to be said in plain language. Men are physically stronger than women, period. And no, that's not sexism, that's biology. Yet still, most men walk around with incredible restraint. Most men, even when they're being disrespected, humiliated, or even emasculated, they choose discipline. Think about it. A man could easily snap back. He could use his size or his strength to intimidate, to harm, to dominate. But most don't. And why? Because there's a moral code, a spiritual code. And there's a code in society where most men choose to just walk away. But that choice shouldn't be taken for granted just because it's social media. See, when a woman stands in a man's face, chest puffed, finger pointed, voice raised, screaming insults like, "You ain't a real man, you a punk." Or worse yet, there's this assumption being made that his restraint is a weakness, not a sign of maturity and control. That's what's so twisted about all this. A man practicing self-discipline is powerful, but women who haven't seen healthy masculinity don't know the difference. The women who haven't had healthy male role models in their lives, I'm talking about the women who grew up without a father, or had a dad who was present in body but was abusive, manipulative, or maybe he was inconsistent. Women who grew up without brothers, uncles, or a grandfather who set a good example of honorable men with integrity. When the first man in your life either doesn't show up for you or he hurts you, be it emotionally or physically, it sets a tone. Whether we realize it or not, we internalize that experience. And for a lot of women, that turns into quiet, simmering, disdain for men in general. They don't say it out loud, at least not at first, but you see how quick they are to challenge men? How they assume the worst about men? How they roll their eyes at the word submission or immediately associate leadership with control. Why is that, Nikki? I'm glad you asked. Because they never had a man lead in love. They never saw a man stay when things got hard. They never saw a man protect without expecting something in return. So to them, men aren't trustworthy. They're disposable, to be used for their money and then discarded. It's not always a conscious choice. It's their survival. It's a self-protective mindset that they have. If I don't put too much faith in men, I can't be let down. If I keep the power dynamic tilted in my favor, I stay safe. But the problem with that is that mindset creates distance and dominance. And that leaves no room for a partnership. I would imagine that it's hard to respect something you were never taught had value. When a woman grows up without a man who taught her what healthy masculinity looks like, how to recognize it, respond to it, or even how to receive it, she builds her entire belief system off pain and assumption. And when she finally does encounter a good man, she either pushes him away, tries to control him, or questions his intentions to the point where he stops trying. She doesn't know how to let a man lead because no man ever led her toward anything good. This is why healing is so important. Because some women aren't actually mean, they're just guarded. They're not bitter, they're broken. And they've been that way so long, they don't even know what softness feels like unless it comes with strings attached. You can't respect what you were taught to fear. You can't honor what you were raised to resent. And you can't build with what you've only been trained to survive. I know y'all don't want to hear this, but a lot of you can blame all this on your mama. Especially if you watched her disrespect men growing up, cursing out your dad or even hitting on him. Some women even think they can replace the man that they kick out on the street, no matter how strong you think you are. No matter how big and strong your back is. A woman can never replace the space that a man fills. She can't lead the same because we're emotional creatures. She can't teach her son how to pee standing up. So she damn sure can't teach him how to be a man. Hell, she can barely even open a jar of pickles without grabbing a towel and still struggling as she bites her bottom lip. So for the women listening, if you grew up without a father or a positive male role model, I want to gently challenge you. Ask yourself what you really believe about men. Not what social media says, not what your mama taught you, and not what that one toxic ex of yours showed you. But what do you believe? And ask yourself if that belief is rooted in pain or truth. This is an important exercise because healing that father wound is not about making room for just any man. It's about making space for the right kind of man in your life. The one who doesn't need to fight through your walls just to reach your heart. It's about showing respect to all mankind, particularly men. And today I'm talking about our black men. Black men already walk through a world that meets them with resistance and suspicion and prejudice at every turn. They're constantly fighting to be seen as human in a society that's been conditioned to see them as threats. The one place they should never have to fight for respect is with black women. They deserve peace. And they deserve to be uplifted by women who know their worth the most. We can't say we love black men while treating them like enemies. Respect is not a request. It's a requirement. Truthfully speaking, disrespect damages both sides. When a woman disrespects men, she doesn't just tear him down, she chips away at her own softness, her own femininity, her own ability to receive love. She becomes emotionally hardened and then wonders why she keeps attracting emotionally unavailable, disrespectful men in her life. Disrespect is like a boomerang. It's coming back to you. And as for the men, constant disrespect chips away at their desire to provide, to protect y'all masculine ass, or even participate in relationships with some women. If every time they open their mouths they're met with suspicion or insults, where's the motivation to show up for you? This toxic cycle benefits no one. Not the men, not the women, not our children, nobody. Asking for respect is not asking for silence or submission. You can still be assertive and bold and still be respectful at the same time. You can hold a man accountable without calling him out of his name. You can disagree with that man without dehumanizing him. That's how grown, mature women engage in a dialogue with men. Respect doesn't mean you agree with everything he says or does. It means you see his humanity. You honor his role as a man, whether he's your man or not. It means you understand that your words carry power and not every thought deserves a microphone. But if you have a microphone, don't flex on a man by calling him out of his name just because you have an opposing view from his. Even if he hurts someone you love, you don't get a pass for trying to right somebody else's wrong. Mike Tyson said it best. Social media made y'all way too comfortable with disrespecting people and not getting punched in the face for it. Ladies, we want respect from men, right? We want our voices to be heard, our boundaries to be honored, and our presence to be valued. And yeah, we deserve all that. But we can't ask for what we're not willing to give. We can't keep tearing down the very people we expect to lead and protect us, especially not out of pain that we haven't personally dealt with. We can't keep using men as emotional punching bags for what our fathers never did or said. That's not healing. Some of us need to relearn how to speak to men with care. We need to remember that power isn't in who can yell the loudest, insult the fastest, or roast the hardest. Power is in self-control and grace, in choosing the higher road, even when the lower one feels more satisfying. We're not in competition with men. We're supposed to complement each other, or so I thought. And that can't happen if one side is constantly tearing down the other. Ask yourself where all this came from. And ask yourself if that's who you want to keep being. Now, before I get out of here, I want to touch on those married women who get online and talk about men like they can't stand them. I mean married with a whole husband at home. They'll jump on social media and generalize, bash, and drag men like it's just another social media trend. But the question I have for them is, if you talk about men like this online, what does that say about how you speak to or treat the man in your house? Because if you're always calling men useless, or saying men ain't good for nothing but stress, or constantly making jokes that emasculate and belittle men, people naturally wonder, does your husband get that same energy behind closed doors? And if not, if your marriage is actually full of mutual respect and love, then why get online and add to a narrative that's toxic? There are younger women out here who are still forming their beliefs about men and relationships. You're setting a horrible example for them online. A lot of y'all don't even deserve a platform for that reason alone. You're bad for the culture. If your husband is a good man, why not reflect that in your language? There has to be something going on when a married woman who supposedly has a good man at home is out here leading a man bashing choir on YouTube. It feels like you're trying to stay relatable to a certain crowd. Yeah, I said it. But at what cost? Because it's sending mixed signals, ma'am. It makes people question the authenticity of your relationship. And even worse, it plants seeds of disrespect, not just in your home, but in the minds of women who look up to you. Especially when we already live in a culture that's struggling to respect healthy masculinity. Respecting your husband privately, but disrespecting men publicly, that's a big contradiction. You don't get points for being a respectful wife if you're helping tear down the image of men every chance you get online. At some point, we have to ask ourselves, are we building up men in our real lives while tearing down the very concept of manhood on the internet? And if so, what does that say about us? Ladies, let's lead with integrity. And if we're blessed with good men in our lives, husbands, brothers, fathers, or sons, let's speak in a way that honors their presence. And let's do it online as well as offline.
Some women just don't have that father figure at home at all. So they don't even know what a real man. That's why I hate when women talk about, oh, real man would do this. I don't even know what a real man looks like. You never seen a male authority treat your mother in a romantic way, in a way where she was supportive of him and things of that nature. So that impacts your relationship with men in general. Depending on your mother, you might grow up and think, oh, ain't shit. Now you going into that world. Ain't shit, niggas, because your mother been spewing that because maybe your hatred towards your father or whatever the case is. So it's like, you know, there's a lot of factors that could play when you don't have that father figure in the household.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.